Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm doing a reaction to Watch This to Change Your Habits. So some of us have some bad habits. I'm kind of curious as to what kind of advice he would give for changing our bad habits. I'm trying to think, what advice would it give? Like, it depends on the habit, I suppose. And every habit is dealt with a little bit differently. I'm curious as to if there's like a solution, one solution for all. One size fits all kind of solution. There could be, but I think breaking it down may be a little bit better for people who don't follow certain things in the world. Let's go and give this video a shot.
Guys, no one in this world is perfect. We all have some shortcomings, some weaknesses, some faults, some flaws. We all have a good side to us, but then we also have some conditioning, some bad habits that have stayed long with us and are hard to let go of. Have you ever taken note of the spelling of the word habit? If you take the H out of it, a bit still remains. Now, if you take the A out of the remaining spelling, bit still remains. And then if you take the B out of the remainder, it still remains. That's probably why they say old habits die hard. A great Zen teacher named Benzi had many students. One day the students came up to their teacher Benzi and reported how they had caught one of their fellow students red-handed as he was stealing something in class. Benzi patiently heard them out but took no action. A couple of days later, the same boy was caught stealing yet again, another time, and even this time the Zen master did absolutely nothing. This annoyed all the students under him, who came up to him and protested that he expelled this boy who was a compulsive thief out of his school. They further threatened that if no action was taken against the boy, they would all leave the school, and then Benzi could have this thief as his only student and teach him in peace. The teacher summoned all the students for a meeting. When they had all assembled, he said to them, "See, you're all good boys, coming from good families. You're all mature, and you know what is right and what is wrong. If you leave my school, you'll have absolutely no trouble in joining some other school. What about this brother of yours? He indeed is conditioned to stealing, and I'm aware of it. He does not even know the difference between right and wrong. If I reject him, which other school will take him? Who will teach him if I don't? Who will put the effort to reform him if I don't? I'm really sorry, but I cannot ask him to go. It's been wonderful teaching you guys, and I would love to have you continue with me. But if because of his staying you want to leave, well, who am I to stop you?" The students were stunned by their teacher's answer, being touched by his compassion.
But the thing is that is that they told the teacher, but they didn't see the teacher do anything. I mean, I'm guessing if the students would have saw the teacher said, "Okay, I will handle it. Let me handle it in my own way." But the students need to see action taken for them to say, "Okay, he is handling it. It may not be working, but at least he's handling it." But it sounds like here it's just like they told him and he did nothing. So I'm kind of curious. Okay, he's gonna teach the student who doesn't know right from wrong. What is he doing to do it though? Let's rewind that a little bit.
Their teacher's answer, being touched by his compassionate nature and inspired by the values that he held sacred, they decided to stay on. And the boy who had stolen, he had tears rolling down his eyes too. The broad-mindedness and compassion of the Zen master Benzi transformed his heart. He never stole again, and in his later life became extremely renowned for his integrity. Mistakes happen, wrong is done, and sometimes repeatedly. Rather than labeling people as bad, it's important that we help them reform by being sensitive and empathetic. Of course, if someone is hardwired to do wrong and does not show any signs of remorse or any signs of improvement and continues to shamelessly abuse the goodness shown to them, such people may need to be treated differently.
That's the biggest thing too for me, is the fact that absolutely, It reminds me of I watched this YouTube channel where it talks about a lot of the bad things in China. They don't hate China. They hate. They don't even. How do I say this? They might not make it seem like they're hateful people. It's just they understand that certain people in China do certain things because of the government, especially the government in the past. Um, Talks about how when there's free stuff, they always grab and take the free stuff. They want free stuff. I was like, and I was watching that just very recently. I was like, man, why did they do that? You know, it's just grabbing free stuff. And even I saw one video where this man was complaining that he didn't get the other free stuff, and it's really crazy. But then he explained that they were raised in an era of the prior, I think the prior ruler, which was really desperation, where um, they didn't really have a lot, so whatever they could get, they needed to grab it because it was just for survival purposes. So I can empathize with that. But of course, you cannot be taken advantage of. That's the biggest thing too. You cannot be blind to the people who will take advantage of you. Be kind, be generous, but be mindful. Don't be taken advantage of, which he addressed here.
But in most cases, patient compassion can help people change. Remember, every saint has a past, and every wrongdoer a future.
Okay, so is that really a habit though? Doing wrong, is that really a habit? I mean, there are bad habits for sure. I guess stealing could be seen as one of them, but I don't think it's very common now. As in, it's not something that's done as a habit, but they understand that it's wrong what they're doing. I guess an example of a bad habit that's stealing would be if someone moves into your house and they just start eating everything, and you're like, what are you doing, man? You can't just be eating stuff. It's like, oh really? I remember, like, I guess the way they're grown is that, you know, if there's anything in the house and you want to eat it, you're free to. It's kind of their, perhaps their culture, that they don't know that they can't do that. That is, I won't say that's a habit, but it's a habit that's from a cultural habit that got not exact doesn't quite exactly translate to the new culture that they're in. It's not a bad habit, it's just a habit that doesn't quite it's a little bit different. I'm trying to think. Oh, smoking obviously is a bad habit, and although it's not kind of the habit that he's talking about in terms of stealing, but all different kinds of habits we all have. Smoking is very bad, self-destructive. We have stealing. It's weird to say it's a habit though, but again, my example about it's not a habit, it's a cultural thing, but it could be seen as a habit. I don't know. Habit's a very weird thing. But there are bad things that we have for sure. We should show compassion, but at the same time be mindful and don't be taken advantage of. This is kind of what I do when I meet people and see if they can be good friends or not. It's I test the waters. I do it all the time. It's not a bad thing, but it gives you an understanding of what kind of people they are. And I think it's fine for people to do it. I mean, it's not like a very like, oh, are you gonna do this for me or not? No, it's very simple, basic stuff. Like if they need to borrow something or whatever, you let them borrow something that's not expensive, but see how they treat it. If they treat it terribly, and they bring it back to you destroyed, then clearly you don't want to let them borrow anything, because they don't treat it with respect. It may be just a simple item, but it shows how much they care, how much they value other people's belongings. And then trust is another thing, that you trust them. Like you don't let them borrow large sums of money, but you can let them borrow like $20 or something like that, like a low amount that's enough to return it back. You can kind of trust them with money. Obviously, you work your way up, but still, you don't. I don't trust people with money, but you get what I'm saying. Anyways, that's my reaction to what. Watch this to change your habits. It didn't really. He didn't really say what's needed to change your habit. It's just saying that we should be compassionate to people who have bad habits. Anyways, for me, what would I say to change people's habits? The only thing I can really say is the golden rule, which is to treat others the way you want to be treated. Do you want to be treated the way you're treating other people? If you don't, then you have to stop. Otherwise, eventually someone's going to treat you that way, and maybe they were treated that way, and that's the reason why they act like that. It's very difficult. It really is. It all depends on what that habit is. For me, there's generally no over broad answer for these things because habits is very broad itself, and every habit has a different solution. Anyways, if you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, the sound down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.